Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Josh, and today we're excited to talk all about artwork. But before we get there, last week I was actually out at the trade show in Dallas, the ASI show, and we did a couple different things there. Number one is we had a full day of education again, and decorators got to get hands-on with the different processes, and one of the things that came out of that was tremendous interest in the new product from Transfer Express called Stretch Litho. So I think if you haven't looked at Stretch Litho, I would certainly recommend you take a look at that, get a sample from Transfer Express. If you don't have a sample from Transfer Express, just type in sample right now, and we'd be happy to take care of getting you one. Something else that came out of that show that was really interesting that kind of ties into today's episode was the interest in artwork and really production-friendly artwork that sells t-shirts. So I know we plan to dive deep there today. Throughout today's episode and talk with all of our viewers about art and specifically the launch of Great Dane Graphics artwork on their web subscription.
Absolutely. I know artwork for sure, even throughout the last few months, we've been obviously attending a lot of trade shows. I feel like every time we jump into the morning show, where one of us is back from another show, always with good feedback, but artwork again and again is the constant challenge that we dive into with those.
Yeah, and then I had a chance to walk the floor on the last day, which I love to do because we get to sort of look at different vendors and products that would make sense to our viewers. And although they weren't exhibiting here, you did a similar thing in Long Beach, and so we have some garments laying in front of us from a supplier that you connected with that you wanted to show our viewers of these garments.
Yeah, I always feel kind of like our viewers and our customers when they're walking the show floor because I'm just always touching and feeling, and I love being able to see a lot of the new garments. So we have on Stahls TV, we're going to be showing you guys all the new styles from Sanmar as well as some from Cavio and a few other vendors. So those will be coming in March on the site, but we wanted to give you a small taste of what we're seeing. So one of the tank tops that are really trendy is this static tank top, and this pattern and print, as we start to zoom in a little bit, is starting to really take off. It's kind of almost a pebbled look, so it's got a really cool finish to it. Has some really trendy lace down here at the bottom or some striping, and so this is really popular if you're selling to a lot of the female markets, especially dance schools, cheer squads, anything like that, camp wear. I can really see a lot of these flying off the shelf with maybe some glitter and some rhinestones, and of course we're going to decorate them soon and show you guys how to print them as well down the road in March.
Fringe is in, and texture, visual texture is in. So although you can't actually feel the texture, which is cool, it gives you a nice flat print surface for multiple technologies, but you get that sort of style element with it. So what else do we have other than this fringy tank top?
So again, we're starting to see a lot of, not the color blocking, but even some striping and patterns moving into tank tops. So of course in the front it looks like a regular tank top, but we've got a really cool striping here on the back. So this is another trend we're seeing a lot in apparel. So I really like the contrast that it looks kind of simple here on the front, but in the back it gets really crazy, and the knot tie here really makes a nice racer back as well.
Sort of like a mullet.
Almost like a mullet, yeah.
Business
Party
in the front, party in the back.
Yes,
yeah, I'm with you.
Absolutely.
But these are popular. I've actually printed these before with glitter flake, but they added the sort of knot in the back of the tank top that's sort of tied together that puts it on trend. I think this one will be popular with dance schools specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. And so keeping with that same idea, one that I fell in love with, this is absolutely my favorite, is this kind of knotted fringe that's here on the bottom. So it almost has kind of a crochet or macrame look to the bottom of it, which really just creates a cool, trendy look. Like I said, same thing, dance schools, cheer squads, camp wear, especially as we're starting to already get into spring. These colors are all vibrant as well, so you're starting to see a lot of the almost brighter neon type shades, more mint colors, purple. All of these are colors we're seeing trending a lot in the spring here.
Yep, and that was reported at the beginning of the year on Stahls TV blog. So if you're not following along at Stahls TV, shame on you. Subscribe to the Stahls TV blog, and we look forward to highlighting how you can spring into new sales here in March with garment trends. So with that in mind, let's jump into today's topic. And as always, this is live. If you have a question to ask, please type it in. Joe will be helping us direct questions in throughout the session. Let's talk about artwork and specifically Great Dane Graphics and what they've created for decorators, why it's important.
Right, and so as you mentioned, this is another thing that's been really popular this year, especially with decorators at the ASI show and at the Long Beach show, was the subscription-based artwork through Great Dane Graphics. The artwork, obviously there's a ton of clip art and images that are on there, but one of the cool thing is that it's available for a lot of print technologies. So this is where we're no longer looking at buying clip art from a stock art site and then having to convert it or change it to our processes, because as we know, we're going to look through a lot of artwork designed specifically for vinyl cutting or specifically for print and cut. And there's challenges when we're creating artwork for those print processes. With vinyl cutting, mainly it's a detail issue.
Sure.
It's obviously you don't want anything too detailed, but you don't want to be too simple because then it makes the logo kind of just look blah. So they've taken some ways there to make that artwork a little bit better as well.
So it's really, as we go through here, purpose-built artwork, and the purpose is to solve your top production challenges. So for whether it's for screen printing, DTG, whatever it may be, we're going to dial in on the vinyl cut and print cut aspect. With the vinyl cut, one of the major challenges in the process is weeding time. And when you create cool artwork, sometimes that means a lot of little details to weed to ultimately get it to feel lightweight on the garment with the show-through areas, and also to get it to look cool. And that adds production time, which of course adds cost. So Dane and his group have taken some of that out of the process. So why don't we start with a little bit about the program and touch on vinyl cutting, and then we'll dive into print cut.
All right, so we'll take a look here at some of the artwork specifically for vinyl cutting. So as we go into browsing art, I'm just going to open some of the stock art images. And then, of course, here on the left-hand side, you can already start to see, as I mentioned, the print methods and things that you can dial down your artwork for. And so for me, if I'm looking for that detailed, really cool logo for vinyl cutting, I can click into that and I can start to really navigate around and see what artwork's available for that with that, and I can download them as we go.
Yeah, so let's just freeze on any particular one that you want to pull up here.
Let's go with, I'm going to look for some good bit of detail. Oh, I like owls. Let's go there.
Okay. All right, so we'll click on that to give you a close-up view of the owl. But basically, if you take a look here, and we're waiting for the computer and internet speed to catch up here. There we go, and let's look at the vinyl cutting view. Awesome. So notice how, although it looks really cool and detailed, when you start to weed this, if you can imagine yourself weeding, as we know you like to do on a Monday morning, all of these areas are sort of pulling out in the same pool. You'll notice there's very few areas where you have to stop and start, like in the eyeballs of the owl. But if you notice sort of the mouth or the beak area and all the feathers, those are all going to pull out in one pool. So really what the team of artists have done in making this highly detailed but production-friendly art is maintained a cool look and effect with limiting the labor time that it takes to produce. So, as always, when you deal with vinyl cutting, if we start to shrink this design down, if we say this isn't on a full front, but this is on a little bitty logo on a sleeve, we probably want to drill this down to a little more basic. So if we click on the vinyl cutting basic option here, you'll see how that same owl is created. You get the same look, so I can carry across the logo from the front of the shirt to the sleeve or a hat or a small placement on a bag, but yet the lines are thickened up, and you get still good detail, but you get a lot thicker lines, so the vinyl cutter and the material that you're cutting, especially if it's a material like glitter, can maintain the logo in the pool areas.
Yeah, that's a good point. And of course, another thing I really like is you're seeing all the different types. Is if I want to use the same logo across a bunch of different print methods for my customer, I can choose print and cut and then get a really nice full color image. If I want to screen print it, it has artwork set up for screen printing. So I can use essentially that same logo and make it as full color or as simple as I want it for my print processes.
Yeah, so one logo done 7 different ways, and that's what's really cool about this is you can, if you have multiple production methods in your shop, you can leverage an art package with purpose-built art for that. So let's dive a little bit into print cutting. If you can click back on that print cut logo. Notice how the artwork changed, and we see sort of a feathering or a bleeding out of the outside edge. So what I'm going to ask Joe to do is prepare our camera here for a close-up view of the challenges you're looking at this art. And with print cut, we know we are creating artwork on a print cut machine, and sometimes those machines can be slightly out of calibration. And basically what happens is if you create your cut line right up to the edge of the owl, or in this case the bulldog visual, you're noticing on the top design there this is a good example of a printer cutter that's slightly out of calibration, or that you haven't completed a bleed of the outside edge of the graphic. So if you look down around the spikes on the collar, you're seeing a little bit of white space from the actual print media showing off, ultimately compromising the finished look and finished quality of the design. So what we actually start to get here, if we go to the bottom logo and look at the same place, we've created a bleed on the artwork. And so in this case, if my printer cutter is slightly out of calibration, I don't have the issues with showing white space or really compromising the integrity of my design. So it gives me a little flexibility throughout the design process. So just with that in mind, if we switch back over to the camera, Courtney has just downloaded this particular piece of art, and it opens as a zip file, but you can basically open this up in CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator, and you'll see where the cut lines have been applied in reference to the actual bleed out of the edge. So I don't know if you have one already in Corel that we can take a look at. There we go.
I have this one.
Okay, and so you'll notice if we take a zoom in view here, the way the printer cutter cuts, you see that little pink hairline that's been set up on the ear of the owl and clear around the edge. You can sort of see the pink well right there. You see it's inset from that bleed out. So it really gives me the ability to have my machine slightly out of calibration and still have high quality artwork that works well for the production process. So leveraging best practices regardless of what you're doing.
Absolutely, and I'm sure, it doesn't matter how much you calibrate your machine. A lot of the times if you're doing a lot of cutting with your print and cut, you can run into these types of issues. So it's nice to have this just as a safety feature whenever you're doing print and cut.
Okay, and just before we leave the computer screen here, can you jump back over and just quickly walk through the subscription modules and how that works?
Yeah.
So there's stock art is basically the art that we've looked at, and there's also digitized files for embroidery as well. But this is very simple. It's a monthly fee, so you get 200 downloads per month. If you look over on the far left-hand side of the screen for $18.99, you get the monthly subscription, or if you want to opt in for the whole year, your 200 downloads will reset at the beginning of every month. And if this is a package that you would like to move forward with, at Stahls TV, we can offer you a little bit of a discount on your first month. So just type in Dane Art, and we'll have somebody reach out for you with the coupon code to get you all set up with this package. So the point here is production artwork, purpose-built, that helps you print apparel and ultimately sell product to your customers.
Right.
I'm not sure where else you get artwork for that low cost per piece.
Right, and it's already made to be production friendly for what you're using it for. Just
yeah,
cool.
And the other piece is it's always fresh.
Right.
It's online, it's subscription based, so you tap into the new artwork every week when it's released on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think staying on top of artwork trends and keeping fresh artwork is really even a challenge. Even if you're familiar with CorelDRAW and Illustrator and you're used to creating a lot of artwork, that takes a lot of time and just thought to be able to think about those kinds of things. And so if you have a tool where you can already have it built for you, it's pretty nice.
Absolutely. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Corel or Illustrator, or maybe you don't have a vinyl cutter or printer cutter or DTG, and you don't want to go that level in art creation, perhaps if you just have a heat press and you order screen printed transfers, it's worthwhile to talk through EasyView, which once again is a purpose-built sort of software for creating screen print transfer friendly artwork through Transfer Express. And so just briefly, some of the value of EasyView to a decorator is what?
Being able to quickly create artwork that's really just fresh and new. Again, we're seeing that same benefits that we saw with Dane's artwork. For me, is really just the fresh, the trendy, new styles.
Okay, yeah, and then it really gives you a whole library too. So it's not like you have to buy thousands of dollars worth of clip art. In this case, if you order the transfers from Transfer Express, it's all gifted to you.
Right.
15 years of art creation and ongoing art resources are sort of yours to order transfers with. So let's jump into EasyView and go through that a bit.
All right, so the EasyView Designer, different from the Great Dane Graphics software that we looked at, is basically more of a design software rather than you just purchasing clip art and purchasing artwork. And it's going to allow you to create transfers for screen printed applications. And so you would only use this artwork for screen printed transfers from Transfer Express. Of course, you wouldn't be able to use this for other print technologies. But when you're looking to create screen printed transfers, there's a whole lot of ranges that are available. I'm going to go in and just create a new design. Under the Easy View, I'm a big fan of using the layouts and kind of starting there. If you wanted to, you could go in and create a design completely from scratch using their add text and clip art, but a lot of the power that's already been built, as you guys can see, is these really cool trendy layouts that you can just customize for your customers. And so if I select a category, I can choose from a variety of different markets: basic, fashion, school, sports. If I'm creating them for a business or a company, I can look in the work, occasions, maybe I think Valentine's Day just passed. Well, I know Valentine's Day just passed.
I think it did.
I didn't miss it. St. Patrick's Day is on the way, so you've got a ton of different ways you can take a look at logos and customize them. I'm going to scroll through and see. Let's see. There's a bunch of school artwork. I'll customize them for my local school. We'll go with, I'm looking for one that's not distressed. Here we go. Okay, so here I have a completely single color design. I can leave it as is if I want to just create a one color black design, maybe change out the school name, or I can get as creative as adding effects, making it full color, and doing a bunch of different changes to this artwork to make it custom for me and my customer. When I go to edit text, I have a couple of options. One is I can choose to just edit the text since I'm not decorating for Compton football. I'm creating artwork for my local school, which is Morgantown. I'll change it to say Organtown since I'm going to change the M. If I wanted to change the artwork, maybe I don't like this Gothic font, I can do that by selecting a variety of different artwork pieces that you see here. Let's go with this uppercase.
Here, there's a lot of donors there.
There are a lot of donors there at the Organtown school, similar to Morgantown. So again, I can make any changes to this artwork. If I want to create a different font for my M, I can do that. Another option whenever I'm changing and creating artwork, let's say I'm not creating this for the Eagles, I'm changing this to maybe the Hawks. And so I would want to change this from being Eagle Pride to Hawk Pride, and you can personalize this to say whatever you want. So you notice on the first edit, I actually edited the text over here in the edit text box. I can also double click it and make any edits like you're seeing me do right here. So that'll make changes to it for it to say Hawk Pride. Morgantown school colors, let's say they're red, so I want to change all of the black in my art, or the black in my football, to be the color red. So I can just select the images, change the color over here on my edit box. I can delete and change clip art as I'd like, so I'm just going to select this and hit delete on my keyboard to delete the eagle. I'm going to add in a hawk, and just like with the templates, there are a ton of clip art images in here, almost too many probably to even try to count and say how many, because they're adding them constantly. I could search mascots if I wanted to just go into here and see what's available. Or for me, I really like to be able to see what's available by just using the search function. I use search in just about anything that's kind of the industry that we're in. So I chose this simple hawk since I liked it, and I think it's a really cool finish for this helmet. We'll make him red as well so it matches the colors of the school and makes it stand out. So here to start, I have a two-color design created in the screen print and transfer. I can add effects. I could add a two-color to the football if I wanted to add a contour. I can distress the whole thing. I can add chevron patterns. I can add different finishes. Let's add a distress just to make this really different looking. So when I select that, it's going to actually distress the whole image. And so that's going to make kind of a really cool, trendy look to this piece. It's already a neat piece of artwork. I also like this designer because I can get creative with what I can do with my artwork. So if I want to create, if I'm going to try to gang sheet these and maybe save some money, I can create multiples and then resize them so I can see, okay, this will still look good on a shirt because it's 8 by 9 inches, but I want to try to fit 2 on this 11 by 14 sheet. If I wanted to create a left chest logo or maybe some extra images, I can create duplicates and really start to maximize the space I have with this full 11 by 14 sheet just by adding extra designs on this sheet for when I send it into Transfer Express.
Yeah, great way to do adult and youth, pair them up and with the same colorway, or a cap with the t-shirt or jersey, whatever it might be. So plenty of power there. Now over on the right hand side of the screen, there was some production tools where you could update your ink formula, ultimately put in a quantity and kick out a price. So you're able sort of to design as part of the experience, get live quoting, which keeps things very simple. So at this point, we've shown you a little bit about Great Dane Graphics and talked a little bit about art through Easy View forwarding transfers. Are there any questions from our viewers?
Yes, you have quite a few questions coming in already. They'd like to know, can I upload a vector logo specific for my school to add to the design in the EasyView?
Okay, so basically, Transfer Express operates on two pricing models. They do Easy Prints and Easy Prints Plus. If it's custom artwork, completely custom, you're going to pay Easy Prints Plus the first time you order. Now, if you want that logo to be available under your account in EasyView moving forward, you can pay a fee to sort of categorize or library that logo. That way you can create with it. So it is possible. I don't have the exact costs of that right off the top of my head, but certainly Transfer Express can help you do just that.
Okay, when you're submitting original artwork that I create, do I need to reverse it before I send it, or will Transfer Express reverse based on the heat applied transfer types?
Everything's in reverse at Transfer Express,
Right.
so they'll certainly make sure you have a mirror image as you submit your artwork. Usually you submit it right reading, and they mirror it as part of the transfer manufacturing process. But it's a whole sort of experience back and forth when you're uploading custom art, so I'm sure you'll make sure that it's all good to go and ready to print.
Is the EasyView porting only available to designers, or can we give access to customers so they can design their own on their own time?
Yeah, so do you want to flip it back to the EasyView, and we'll show you a quick design mode option that you can go into. So you can go into a customer mode, so it's not necessarily protected, so you'd want them to design in store or as part of the experience. It's not necessarily on their own time here through EasyView, but you can go into this design mode, and it basically takes away all Transfer Express branding and pricing to give your customer something to create. Something else you can do is you can also preview and share down in the bottom right hand of the screen. So if you want to create a couple versions of a particular logo and even apply it on any of the items from Transfer Express's blank apparel catalog, you can create one image per sheet and preview it across any of those fabrics and email it directly to your client. So for that, you definitely want to do the one image per sheet, create the preview, and then you can always add back the second image when you order it. Okay?
Okay, I want to step back a little bit to the Great Dane artwork, and they're asking if using CADWorks, can I download the Great Dane artwork into CADWorks Live?
Yes. Yep, that one's easy. You can export it as a variety of file formats depending on what your production output is. Out of the Dane software, you download it, and then you just import it over into CADWorks.
And then way back to the beginning of the show, they're asking about the garments because they really like the clothing you're showing off. Where is it available, and who's the distributor?
All of those garments are from Kavio, so Kavio.
Yep, Kavio.com, and we'll be talking much more about Kavio and other new trends in the coming weeks. All right, we're free and clear on questions, but those are some awesome questions, so thank you for participating and making this interactive. That's part of why we love doing the morning show, is to answer questions like that. So the point is of this session is there's a lot of different considerations about artwork when you're starting in business. It's not necessarily a requirement that you have a graphic artist on staff or you take the time to fully learn Corel or Illustrator. There's other ways to create quality artwork. It's just you need to be considerate of it, whether you're starting or whether you're growing the business. Artwork does in fact sell apparel. If you don't have good artwork on the shirts, you might as well just sell blank apparel. You don't really have a decorated apparel business without artwork, so it's important to know some of the options that are available. We didn't talk too in depth about CADWorks Live, although a question came up. So do you want to highlight just CADWorks Live briefly, what it does, and talk about the opportunities to learn about it?
Yeah. So I'll switch over to my screen here to CADWorks Live. CADWorks Live is basically almost the blend of everything. So if you're looking at EasyView as a designer for creating screen printed transfers, CADWorks Live is going to give you the ability to create custom artwork for vinyl cutting, print cut. You can even create it for screen printing or any other digital printing process with this artwork. And so just like with the EasyViewer, there's an option to select text and clip art to completely design from scratch. You can create templates or start from templates to kind of customize them to what you want them to be. And I love the template section for when you're creating those custom designs like the underside of the bill, which we personalize a lot here on the morning show, or the oversized shirt, which we personalize probably even more than the underside of the flat bill hats. But all of those templates are already built in here, as well as a bunch of them for a variety of different markets. And so it allows you to completely create custom artwork, bring in your own artwork, bring in your own fonts, and make it tailored to you. So it's kind of like a Corel Draw or an Illustrator basic type software where you can just create custom t-shirts and make any changes you want.
Yeah, and we're creating vector artwork within the system, so it can be vinyl cut, and it can really be exported in any format, any raster vector format for a variety of production processes. But the most popular application for CADWorks is vinyl cutting.
Right, absolutely. And so there's a ton of different things you can do with this tool. It's really robust. We have tons of videos on Stahls TV on how to use it from start to finish, and how to really get in depth with sizing to fit, creating virtual samples with different finishes. And then I think, Josh, you have a class later this week.
Yeah.
It's going to show some of the cool things you can do for spirit wear.
Yeah, so if you visit stahlstv.com and click on the upcoming events, the class schedule, we have a class Wednesday on decorating for spring legs, which will talk a lot about the name and number functionality of CADWorks and what you can do with Easy Teams, which is a part of CADWorks for cutting. And then that evening at 8 o'clock Eastern, we'll be going through CADWorks and design for spirit wear, where we'll talk a little bit more in depth about creating knockout designs, creating virtual samples, decorating oversized shirts, and everything possible that we can cram into about 45 minutes to an hour. And if you can't make it live, those will be recorded and posted on stahlstv.com by Friday of this week, we're hoping. Joe, all right? He's giving me a little one of these. So, anything else you want to add for our viewers before we conclude the morning show? You want to talk about what you did for Valentine's Day? Anything like that? Or?
No. Well, I made homemade ravioli, so I not only make
good.
t-shirts, but I cook, and I enjoy making things from scratch, so I did that. Yep.
I made gnocchi, but it was frozen, so I literally boiled it and took a jar of sauce.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, the wife loved it either way. Thanks for attending the Stahls TV Morning Show. As always, if you have ongoing questions, visit the Stahls TV forum, and we'll be live again next week on Monday. Thanks for watching.